I always have to wait for that. I don't know. It's like 2/3 way through Nikita's song there. That's Rules of Engagement. Obviously, all of you guys know that I have it up on Spotify. Just about 2/3 of the song is like that, like riff that we all know. We all know we're in for some tough times in Escape from Tarkov when you hear that, dude. That menu music, man. Anyway, welcome to Good Morning Tarkov. This is actually going to be a VOD. We're keeping this up on the channel. This is actually going to be a VOD. And the way that this works is it's a live stream. So if you guys want to talk about anything, sometimes there's going to be news, sometimes there isn't. We have a couple things that we can talk about today. But the main point is this is some place that you guys can come to specifically discuss topics that's going on in the game. If you have something that you want some more details on or that you don't quite understand, this is the place to do it. Because then you don't need to worry about if you DM me, I might not be able to get back quickly. If you leave a comment, I might not even see it because of all the comments. So it's just much easier for kind of like feedback on the channel as well as any kind of questions that you guys might have for the game or anything that you want to discuss about the game. This is the place to do it because it's a direct back and forth kind of setup. You know what I mean? So there's no gameplay involved. Whenever anything big happens, like for instance, while I'm sitting here, this will be nuts if this actually happens because I don't actually think it's going to happen today. But for instance, while I'm sitting here, if the Halloween event just popped up, then we'd be playing the game. But otherwise, we're just going to have some stuff rolling in the background so that we can just mainly communicate, ask whatever questions you guys want, and we'll go from there. Right now, what we need to say off the top of my head right now for any new info, anything happening in the game is that there isn't any, but there is complete confirmation. I am going to TwitchCon, in case you guys didn't hear. Arena is going to be at TwitchCon. That's in Vegas, and that is exactly 7 days away. So 7 days from now, I'm going to be playing Arena with a bunch of other creators. I'm going to be hanging out with BSG at the BSG booth at TwitchCon, and I'm going to be getting a bunch of good footage, asking them a lot of questions, doing my Q&A, asking any extra questions that we might pop up from actually being able to play Arena in person, stuff like that. So that is 7 days away. And additionally, it's also a bit of an update on what's going on with my Q&A. If you don't know what's going on with my Q&A, I have a video on the second channel, and I have at least one video on the main channel where I discuss it specifically and what questions I asked. But the video on the second channel goes through 45. I think I had 45 questions in total that as a community we came together and figured out, like, this is the stuff that we want to talk about. I put it up on Twitter. I put it up on the Discord. Put it up on a couple different streams from not just me, but other creators as well. And what do we really want to talk about? What do we really want to ask about? And BSG shot it down. So we didn't do the 45 questions, but the video on the second channel takes those 45 questions and turns it into 15, which is what BSG wanted. Initially, they only wanted to talk about Arena. They're really Arena focused right now, of course, with the launch coming up of Arena. But I told them, no, we have like one real question about Arena that's probably going to get answered anyway. So we kept that in there, or get answered anyway in the next couple months, which tomorrow, or not, what am I saying tomorrow? Next week, it's going to get answered when we actually play Arena. So we'll see what actually happens with that. And it's about ranking, like how specifically does that work? Skill-based and also PMC skill-based, like I'm blanking on it, your strength, your endurance, your recoil control, your vitality. There's a lot of things that can go into what would make your PMC play better than somebody else's PMC that we don't exactly have good details on. So we want to know what's going on with that with Arena. And then everything else is based on the game at launch. And then a couple other random stuff with like API, like what they're doing with API and stuff like that. So that's the Q&A that I'm going to get answered next week. We're going to be hanging out with BSG. There's also going to be some cool events going on at TwitchCon. So if you are going to TwitchCon, make sure you join the Discord if you're not. And choose that role in the role channel to, I believe I called it TwitchCon attendee. I did. It's TwitchCon attendee. So make sure you join that because within our own community, we'll make sure we do a couple meetups and stuff like that. And obviously, I'll tell you guys where we're going if there is a Tarkov meetup. And then beyond that, I'm assuming you guys are following on Twitter and stuff like that too. So there's going to be stuff going up on Twitter. Anyway, let's get started. We'll move over here. Bop, bop. And we should do this. I'll take the starting soon off. And we'll keep going. Do a bit of Chronicles of Rizzy in the background there. Excuse me, guys. Let me take a drink here. What happened in the chat? Where's the chat? There it is. Oh, we're already talking about cheaters. Here's the thing, guys. Any of you guys that do happen to be going to TwitchCon, the topic has obviously come up. People want to ask Nikita about cheaters, or people want to do, when I was doing the fundraiser, they'll have their question be cheaters. And I straight up refunded a couple people because they wanted, they're just like, hey, just a heads up, I'm going to ask about cheaters. And I talked to them about it, and then they actually ended up agreeing, and I refunded them, and they were like, okay, we're good. So the reality of the situation is they're trying to do what they can with what they have. And when you actually look at it, when you look at Activision, if Activision can't stop cheaters when there's the only incentive that they have for playing is like, oh, I win, or I get to talk to my friend. Like if you're playing Call of Duty, oh, I win Warzone, I get to show my friends that I've won a bunch of Warzone. Like that's the incentive, or you get to act cool because or feel cool because you're like, I don't know, because you're winning the games or whatever. I genuinely don't understand the sentiment behind it. Because obviously they know they're cheating, so I don't understand where that comes from. Maybe just they feel powerful from it. I don't know where it comes from. But if Activision can't stop it, I don't think that Battlestate Games, without some kind of crazy AI thing, which they're looking into, can solve it. And whatever they do talk about is nothing but help to the people that are developing the cheats themselves. So if they went and told us, however, the most recent news that we have on it right now is that at Gamescom, I don't know of any that are going to be at TwitchCon, but and they actually might have met with some at Tokyo too, so I can ask them when I talk to them next week. But for sure at Gamescom, they met with several vendors or whatever you want, providers, anti-cheat providers and stuff like that, and engineers and stuff like that. And they said that they were going to look into developing a complex solution. So usually when I hear those words, that means that they're trying to mix and match. They're trying to figure out, they're trying to work with multiple companies to figure something out. And we'll see if that works. We'll see. But the second that they say anything about specifics of what they're going to go with or what they're going to do or how they're going to do it, it just gives the cheat developers more time. That's the reality of it. And if that's not something that you agree with, then I can understand why you might not agree with that. You might want to, as a part of the community, you want to know what's going on. You want to know for a fact that they're doing something. But that's the way that they're going for it. That is the decision that they're making in terms of communicating that stuff. That's what they want to do. That's how they want to handle this stuff. So if you guys go and you go up and you talk to Nikita like that guy did at Gamescom and you ask about cheaters, you're going to get the same answer that guy got. They're genuinely working on it. It's a massive headache. It's a massive thing to try and handle. And they're genuinely working on it, but their mindset with it right now is if they talk about it, then it's just giving the cheat developers more weapons, or it's giving them more time to try and counter it and stuff like that. So yeah. Also, good morning. I don't think I did it. Good morning, Tarkov. Hopefully my mic wasn't too loud there. If it was, make sure you let me know. This is also too where I did a couple test streams, so everything should be good. But if my mic is too loud, if the music is too loud, if something is wrong with the stream, please complain. I'm asking you to please complain. I never come across hackers when playing the games that are supposedly plagued with them. I feel like saying there's a lot of hackers creates an echo chamber. There's not. So, I mean, I see it all the time with my friends that are playing Counter-Strike 2 right now. And they'll play Valorant and stuff like that. It feels like... And this is the same friend group that won't play Tarkov because they think there's too many cheaters that are playing Tarkov. But they say it like every other... Oh, that dude has to be cheating. That guy has to be cheating. It's just kind of like the space nowadays, whether that person was cheating or not. It's just you kind of just go there, and I honestly don't have an answer. I don't know what to do with it. So what I try to do is, if I am able to enjoy the game, I'm going to attempt to enjoy the game. Once I am not enjoying the game anymore, I will move on. Plain and simple. It's a video game. You use it to whatever reason that you play games for, whether it's to escape reality, just find a bit of fun with it, or it's a competitive in nature, whatever enjoyment you get out of it. Once you stop enjoying it, please move on, because you're not doing anybody any good. So go find something else that you can play. Step away. Hey, go outside. Figure out something else that you can do, because honestly, you're just not helping yourself. And I'm not saying from like we shouldn't. That's definitely not like we shouldn't complain about cheaters or we shouldn't talk about cheaters. It's just simply from a you perspective. If you don't like what you're doing, you should change that. Find something that you do like doing so that you can enjoy your free time. That's what I'm saying. Is Valorant actually no cheaters? I feel like we've had that discussion before, and I don't know if we have exactly any experts in the room to specifically talk about that, but I do know that they do the super invasive stuff, which for some reason Battlestate says that they don't want to do. And it's not for like some reason, like I know the reason. Like it's they don't want to be invasive. They don't want to have to go into the files, and maybe they're worried about some other issues that are popping up with that. It's a complex solution, and they're going to try and figure out something that can solve it. They're working on figuring out something that can solve it. Hopefully they do it. That's it. Great. Touch grass. It's no, truly, like my thing is hockey. I've recently started playing pool. So like I'll go to like a pool hall on like a Saturday, especially if there's like a UFC fight night. I'll try and get a pool table at this like big pool hall, have the UFC fight, have a couple of brewskis, and play some pool. And it's just like you're not sitting at a desk alone reading about somebody somewhere in the world that's literally cheating in a video game and you getting angry about it. Also got the motorcycle. I got hockey. There's a bunch of different things that I can do. Just I have those things on standby so that I can do something else or work out. You know, there's a bunch of different things that you can do. Just take yourself out of that situation. You'll be in a lot better place. It's not the end of the world. Video games, having problems with video games isn't the end of the world. It's not about touching grass. It's about stopping the cheaters before they ruin the game. I agree, because eventually everybody will stop playing. Here's the question there. I'm not going to lie. Actually, no. I can get the end of your name there. Is it Odin Nosferatu? Hopefully, I don't know. I know that that's like, was that like fucking Latin or something? I don't know. I'm not intelligent, but I just figuring out your name. I just lost my train of thought. Let me reread this. It's not about touching grass. It's about stopping the cheaters. Okay, this was the point I was going to make. So do you think that the cheaters are worse now because there are more people playing, so ratio-wise, there's more interest in cheating? Or do you think the cheaters are worse now because BSG haven't been doing anything? And you think, are they going to increase or decrease over time? Because from my perspective, and you can disagree with me if you want, and this is what we're here to do. From my perspective, it seems about the same for the last couple years. Because the vast majority of them are getting banned. They slip up, they do get banned, they reset, they buy another account, whatever they do, they scam another account, whatever they do to get back into the game. But eventually they get caught and then they reset, and then it's just the same kind of people over and over again. Unless you're one of the, I shouldn't have said your, unless we're talking about or we're including one of the people that are absolutely fucking insane and spend $240 a month or whatever it is a day, like hundreds of dollars like a day or hundreds of dollars a month on a credit card that you're giving people that are doing something illegal anyway. So you're giving people that are doing illegal shit your credit card and you're paying them that much money to do that and it still gets banned. It's just like, I think once people learn like it's not all that great, then they end up moving on. But then there's just so many people because the topic is so big that it just keeps wrapping around. So Odin, do you think it's actually do you think it's getting worse? Or do you think people are just talking about it more and that's just the hot topic? Because here we are. It's literally the first subject that we brought up today. So if somebody has we can weave this into the other topics too. So if you guys have something else that you want to discuss, I want to make sure I talk about that because I know that I'm not alone in being done with this conversation, basically, in terms of cheater. In terms of like the community as a whole and cheaters, I already gave my take on it. I wouldn't be here talking about Escape from Tarkov. I would have, by now, gotten a day job and I would have kept the channel rolling in the background and then talked about Marathon. I would have talked about Beyond Light. I would have talked about We the People. Apparently there's some like MOBA or something that's going to be doing like an extraction shooter thing. I would have found a way to not talk about Tarkov if I genuinely believe that it's an issue or they're not working on it. If they're not doing stuff like that, they're doing live action like fucking shows and shit for like little events. Like they obviously care and they're obviously, you know, they're making progress, they're making moves. There's enough here to warrant sticking around. And I know I'm not alone on that one, obviously. And then Leo's saying 100% it's getting better. At the same time, I don't know if it genuinely, I don't know if it's getting better. It technically is, because at the beginning of the wipe, there's tons of cheaters and there's tons of like bans and stuff like that. That's why we saw the 16,600 banned in August, because that's when the wipe was, and then we had 7,000 in September or whatever it was, because it's just less happening. So technically it is getting better, but it's still, that's pretty significant, obviously, when you think about the hundreds of thousands of people that were playing at wipe. It's still a minute number. So I think, and we've had this discussion a million times, I think that as long as the core game is still working, there's still people that want to go and enjoy the game the way it is and be able to partake in the game the way it is, especially when there is no other game out there that's doing it the way that Escape from Tarkov is doing it. Once they get some good competition, which, like I said, we'll see what Marathon does, we'll see what Beyond Light does. However, both of them are already a stretch because they're both going the sci-fi direction. We know Bungie's going to be doing the microtransaction thing. I won't go too deep into that because I love Destiny. I love Destiny 2. I've been playing both of those since day one. I like that game a lot. I like the way that they run that stuff. Obviously, I liked Halo. I like Bungie games. We'll see what a AAA studio whose main focus, whose main IP is an extraction shooter does with that. And we already know it's going to be sci-fi. So we know it's not going to be exactly like Tarkov. So even in its purest sense, like people might not be able to appreciate Marathon as much as they might appreciate Tarkov just because they like the realistic aspects of it, or they like the groundedness of Tarkov, where Marathon might not end up doing that. But it still might be a great game and it still might be cool. It's just not going to be the same. Same thing goes for Beyond Light, because you're fighting like demons or something. And there's like that factor of it. And also the players are playing the demons, so they have these crazy powers. So while you're also fighting other players, Beyond Light I think is going to be cool. And then also we've got the biggest name in the room in terms of, in my mind, is We the People, because it is quite literally Escape from Tarkov, but West Coast US and on Unreal Engine, and built on Unreal Engine. It's like the combination of what people want. However, it's a small team. It's the size of the team and that battle state was at like a few years ago, like 6 or 7 years ago. So they could run into the exact same problems. They could run into where they get popular, they make some more money, they could get some more devs, and then with those more devs, if they don't keep things tight, if they don't watch out for the feature creep bug there, then they can continue. They should be able to move forward. And also they're on a better engine. They're on Unreal. So we'll see what happens with We the People, but it's years. That's still years away. But I'll keep an eye on it for sure. Let me move the goes a Rizzy over. What we got here? We'll put the highlights on from the stream that they did for the arena announcement. I believe it's gotten better, at least from the standpoint of BSG's banning speed. I've personally gotten 10 system messages about the reports I've submitted this wipe. That was a good, I like that they added that. That was a good addition. Where they told people, they told you where the people that you reported got banned. We need more auto bans. I just remembered. Oh, did I miss one of your questions? Let me scroll up a little bit. Let me make sure I got if you responded. Compared to when I first started, I feel it is 100% worse. Is that so? Is that because you're getting more gear? Try and explain that to me. And this is the other thing too. I don't want to necessarily track down case by case basis with everybody on the internet, but I'm trying to figure out like the broader picture here and just trying to help you guys potentially understand what might be happening, or think of other ways that you might not have thought of before. So what really drives you getting killed by a cheater is labs. For some reason, it's just you're gonna die on labs if they're playing on labs, and then also gear. So if you've been playing, the longer that you've been playing, the better that you're getting, the better gear that you have on you. It might mean that, or something that you looted, the cheater might want, then they'll kill you. So if you're getting better, it's assumed that you're going to be wearing better gear, you're going to be finding better items, and then you're going to get killed more often. But it still might have been about the same. You see what I'm saying? As somebody who plays constantly, I can't say constantly anymore. I've definitely died down a little bit because my big thing is I don't want to get burnt out in the game before it's even fucking released. You know what I mean? But watch constantly. Always have somebody on the second screen. Always have Jesse. Always have Sheaf. Always have Landmark. Somebody on the second screen. Always trying to take part in the community. It still seems about the same. still seems about the same, especially when you take into account the die down after a wipe. But let me get your second point here. We need more auto bans so they do make it into raids and waste people's time. Oh, that's the other thing too. So the netcode changes. Remember we were talking about this months ago with patch 14 with the Unity 21 upgrade and the netcode changes? BSG have been able to get some of the ideas that they had in game when it comes to additional, you know, aspects or additional, I forget what they called them. I'm blanking on it. It's like, I'm super blanking on it. It's like a new wing of the anti-cheat system that they have in now, but there's a different word for it. I'm super blanking on it. There's just additions. There's just things that they wanted to add and or include to the anti-cheat that they were able to do even without the netcode changes. But the netcode changes itself is still coming in patch 14 and still coming in December. So that's something that you really want to keep an eye on. And in case you didn't know, the problem, the significant problem that I keep hearing constantly, so who knows if this is true or not, but I constantly hear it. So I'm going to say there's probably a little bit of likelihood that this is true if I'm hearing it constantly from everybody on the internet, is that the core netcode of the game trusts the user too much. So if you trust the user too much, then that's when they can get in there and they can manipulate a bunch of crazy shit. So with the netcode changes in 14, that's supposed to change. That's what the deal is with that. Everybody says the same for their servers, Odin, honestly. I mean, the broad statement of 100% worse from when I started is kind of nuts. Of course, it's gotten worse. The game has skyrocketed in players, so naturally more cheaters. Yeah, but you know what I mean by that? What I was saying before, does that mean it necessarily got worse, or does it mean that because ratio-wise there's more players, there's more cheaters? Because I'll even say that. Like, I agree with that. If there's more people playing, then there's going to be more people cheating. Like, that's got to be the case. It's just that ratio-wise, it probably hasn't changed much. It doesn't seem to have changed. If you get a chance to talk with Nikita, I absolutely will. So let's see. Please, for the love of God, ask him about ARS. If it will be continued or something. It's me, oh, what's up, man? Of course I do. But what do you mean continuing? You mean like the events? So here's the thing with ARRS. For anybody that might be a Sons of Soon, any of the Sons of Soon that are listening, it's going to continue and it's going to be a piece of the game. Part of what we're looking at right now with the hideout and like the lore behind like what you're doing in your hideout, what you're doing in Tarkov, the ARRS is going to be a factor in that. It's basically going to be that little Easter egg / deep lore kind of hub that we're going to find that stuff in. So when we create, or at least this was the plan back in the day, assuming it still is now, when we create our Intel Center, which is what we're looking at right now, in terms of live action wise, that was the Intel Center. When we make our Intel Center, these things are going to start popping up. We're going to start figuring stuff out around Tarkov. And then, you know, we type in the logins, we start talking to people, we start moving through the ARS terminal and stuff like that. It's going to be a big piece of the game, especially when it comes to lore, especially when it comes to like little Easter eggs and, you know, figuring out stuff. It's absolutely going to be in. Is this meant to be a Q&A or just general discussion? Might be something to add in the stream description. Good point. Just general discussion. It could kind of turn into a bunch of stuff. There's no devs here. You guys can ask me questions, and then it's kind of a spot where if you got, I want to basically, if somebody asks a question that gets my attention, I want to try and help them understand at the very least my point of view, and then we can have like a bit of a back and forth with it. But if somebody asks a question that they just simply, hey, what's going on with Arena? Then it could be just a simple, it's going to be out in Q4 of this year. So at least by the December wipe. And then we're done with that conversation. You know what I mean? So it's a mix. Just depends on what really gets my attention in the chat. Because there's obviously a lot of people talking. You can see there's a whole bunch of people asking a bunch of different questions and stuff like that. Also, please ask Nikita, what about medical system for allies? So many cool gear pieces, dead items that could be used for medic, that it gets cut. Big sad if it gets cut. Yeah, for sure. When it comes to the medical side of things, Nikita has already said that they wanted to dumb down the medical side of things. So when it comes to potentially losing limbs, I'm going to assume stuff like that is cut. I'm not going to assume the unconscious state is cut, but it could be cut. I'm not going to assume dragging bodies is cut, but it could be cut. A lot of that stuff is what's going to be in my Q, or what is in the Q&A that I'm going to be talking to them about next week. We need to know what the game is going to be like at launch. Because you said some stuff's going to get cut, some stuff's making it in, some stuff's not. But we're here for the game at launch. We're here to help you test the game for launch. We need to know what the game's going to be like at launch. You want to keep some secrets with the lore, that's fine. You want to keep some secrets with how you complete the game, obviously that's fine. No spoilers. But what the fuck are we going to be playing at launch? Like, we need to know if PMC Karma is going to be in. That's significant. We need to know if there's going to be more NPC factions that are guarding, you know, the roads. We need to know if you're actually going to push for open world or map-to-map travel. Like, it's what we're paying for. It's what we're here to do. We got to know that stuff. At least that's my opinion on it. I feel like I'm definitely not alone with that stuff. Gore ever? That was the thing with losing your limbs and stuff. It's been talked about lightly, very lightly. I don't see it happening, to be honest. I don't see it happening. Maybe if you're hard death, like if there's no way anybody could save you. That's a giant LEDX. If there's nobody that can save you from some kind of injury or something, and it's from an explosion, maybe like with the BTR or something, like maybe you have some limbs that are coming off or something like that, but given the state that the development's in, I don't see it happening before launch, but hey, maybe. Not sure if even BSG know the answer to that. Well, we'll find out next week, man. News on the Q&A is I'm doing it in person in Vegas next week. This time next week, I will be in Las Vegas, and yeah, today, so Friday, is when the actual event starts. But there's potential for me to be hanging out and doing stuff with BSG and also other creators. I'm definitely going to be doing stuff with creators 6 days from now, before the event even starts, because I'm staying with a bunch of them. So there's going to be like a bunch of podcasts and stuff. And thanks to the funds raised, I'm going to finalize and make sure I have everything that I need. I'm going to set a budget for food, and then I'm going to rent a couple lav mics. I have my 360 cam that, thanks to a sponsor a few months ago. Initially, I got this for the motorcycle, and I was going to do motovlogs. But we're going to use a 360 cam. I got that Insta360 that you can turn to like 150-degree angle. So I'm going to use that as a cam. And then I'm going to rent a couple of the lav mics, the things that you can clip to your shirt. Going to rent a couple of those. I have a desk mic that I got for the payday trip a couple months ago. I'm going to use that. I have a capture card, an external capture card for capturing gameplay of, you might guess what, in 2K 120 FPS or 144 FPS potential footage, capturing that. And what else do I got over there? And of course, I'm going to bring a laptop too, so I can actually do. So, got some gear, got some cool shit. You should change the Is Nolan Live channel in your Discord server. I always miss something. There's a bunch of stuff. I'll leave it for now, man. Thanks, though. Thoughts on current rattiness and thoughts on how mounted and bipods will possibly make that rattiness last longer. I'm a big play the game the way that you want to play it kind of guy. Massive. If you guys enjoy doing something a certain way, then do it that way. This is your free time. This is your video game. You paid for it. You should be able to play the way that you want to play it. However, there's limits, right? Because if the way that you want to play it is a cheater and you're breaking the rules, then that means that the team can step in. And a much lighter, like a much easier kind of sense, if that's the right word, lack of a better word, if there's too many people that are taking advantage of too many things that turn the game into something that the devs don't want it to be, then they can also make changes based off that. But then there's also a gray area of like, let the people play the way that they want to play, but it's also delivering on the vision of the game that you guys are developing when you're thinking from like a BSG standpoint. So if BSG are okay with the way that people are playing the game, then they'll leave it. If they're not, then they'll make a change. So that's like what we saw with the dynamic loot. That's like what we saw with hatchet running. If you guys were here when hatchet running was a thing, and then they made it so that you're tagged and cursed if you don't bring in a gun and, you know, a vest or whatever it is, the limit, if you don't bring in some gear. And that's just kind of stuff that they never thought. There's an interview out there somewhere where Nikita literally said, just like, we never even thought, like, why would you ever not want to bring a gun in this situation? Why would you not ever want to bring a gun? So that kind of stuff can pop up. And a lot of the different gameplay will not be realized until the game's actually feature complete, because there's so many different aspects that can play into it with with the if PMC karma is going to be a thing for sure, with the armor hitboxes and the changes that are happening with that, NPC factions and how that's going to affect reputation, stuff like that, the in-game traders, how is that going to affect the economy? A lot. There's a lot. So those final like changes to the ecosystem of the game, I don't think they're going to really touch until it's feature complete, but we'll see. Better question, why does the launch matter if cut content will be added afterward? It's not all cut content. There's some stuff that they said was cut and they'll move it afterwards, but not everything. And that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. Also, obviously, they have a lot of... I don't know. What's the right word here? The main game is going to be played at launch. So the main storyline, the main quest line, every quest that we're doing right now, all these tasks are all side quests. That's why they're crazy. Side quests are supposed to be crazy like they are in game right now. But the actual lore, the actual storyline, the things that we were actually meant to do in the game is going to happen at launch. So there's going to be things that are tied into that. There's probably going to even be some features that they might not even be talking about that are going to be hidden in the launch. And they want the launch to be good. That's the epitome of what we've been here for. That's the, that's the big day. That's everything that we've been here to do, is to test the game for launch. So I'm assuming there's going to be some extra shit that's going to be happening with that, of which we don't have a date. But I don't really... Like, obviously, there's going to be cool stuff at launch. I don't know. Hopefully, I explained that well enough. And also, the stuff that's coming after launch is okay DLC. It's not like we need it in the game. What, extra maps? We don't need it in the game. The Scav Life DLC would be cool, but we don't need it in the game right now. Especially when you're first starting to play, you need to level up your PMC. And the Scav will be nice to have, but we already have the Scav. It doesn't need to be a Scav Life, because then it kind of draws your attention away from what the game was meant to be, which is your PMC and you're trying to escape from Tarkov. The weather DLC definitely would be nice to have, but it's just, that's the way they set it up. It's going to be DLC. Did I already say the maps? So town and suburbs. We've got a lot going on already with the maps. We've got a new one coming up. We've got a couple of expansions still. And streets is massive. And we already know the expansions for those are going to be pushed back too. So there's already enough to do in the game, especially if they make it open world or map-to-map travel. I gotta take a sip here so I don't lose my voice. Hey guys, English only in the chat, please. English only in the chat. Really looking forward to the potential RPG elements. Lightkeeper is already an amazing peek into that RPG realm of the game, and it's just the surface. Just scratch the surface there. It's gonna be really cool. Yeah, we'll see how my voice does for Vegas. My plan right now, guys, too, is I'm gonna do one of these every single day until I leave for Vegas. I want to do a test to see how YouTube treats these. I'm gonna have a video come out this weekend, and I'm gonna do one of these live streams every day until I leave for Vegas. All right, that's the music off the other PC, so we'll just keep right in the background here. And I do keep these to give or take an hour, about an hour. So we're about halfway through that right now. When are you going to be getting the handheld FLIR camera that was tested years ago? What are we talking about there, dude? What are you talking about there? The handheld FLIR camera. I know about the camera ball. I know about there's a head mount for an NVG that is also that could also be thermal. I know about that one. Handheld FLIR. I don't remember that. When was that? What was that used in, or when was that shown off? Just an idea, co-streaming here and on Twitter. Yeah, not a bad idea, but I gotta go one step at a time. I did some tests on settings again too, by the way, guys. If my mic's too loud, if it's too low, music's too loud, too low, whatever the situation is, please complain. I'm giving you permission to complain about whatever it is you want to complain about, because this is the same setup that I'll use on Twitch and also X and Twitter, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Please try to get across how much everybody wants. Dude, BSG want open world. But when you look at the reality of the situation, there's a lot of people that can't even play Streets yet. So how are they going to play open world if they can't play Streets? You know what I mean? So they got some more work to do. But they definitely want it. If open world doesn't happen, it's because they can't. That's why. That's the reality of it. Handheld FLIR camera render that was shown to... Well, that doesn't help, does it? When, though? In what context? Was it on Twitter? Was it in a Tarkov TV? How long ago was it? Usually I'm very good on keeping on top of this stuff, but I don't remember that, man. Well, all the stuff that they are adding, what will be the difference between Russia 2028 and Escape from Tarkov? Russia 2028, the aesthetic of it is going to be much, much, much more survival, like society is broken down, like Stalker vibes. That's what Russia 2028 is supposed to be. And if you go and you look at the... I've done a couple of videos where I've shown the concept art. You'll see that... You'll see every frame of that is exactly what I just mentioned. It's like there's overgrown weeds, overgrown, trees and foliage and deer running around in the streets, like some legit, like, breakdown of society level stuff. Like, ammunition is scarce, equipment is scarce. It's like that kind of vibe. Big time Stalker vibe. Stalker was one of the major influences for Russia 2028. But not sci-fi, of course. Unless they do something crazy. Maybe they'll do something sneaky and there's a little bit of sci-fi snuck in there. Is there going to be an equipment, guns, other stuff patch before our next big wipe? I doubt it. I think they're going to try and save everything for the next wipe. And we're going to be getting like the SIG Spear, the GL40 being able to put on the Scar, those new 9x39 guns, and the RPD, I believe. Maybe a couple others, because there was some other stuff that they've shown off and they've been working on. What you miss is, what did we do so far? We talked a bit about TwitchCon. We talked a bit about cheaters. I feel like we're going to talk about cheaters every day, but I'll try and keep that discussion to like maybe 15. I'll keep it to like a quarter, because obviously lots of people are interested in it. People are talking about it. They want to talk about it. But, yeah. 6851 Fury is going to go nuts. Is that the 6851? What weapon system are you talking about that you're saying that's coming to the game? I'm not sure what you're talking about there with 6851. Did you know that originally there were supposed to be more than 3 Tarkov books, but BSG didn't want more? So what happened is the author took an unreleased book and rebranded it. I did not know that. I gotta keep up with drinking coffee here so I don't lose my voice. Oh, that's the spear round? I thought the spear was 308. Am I an idiot? Hold on. Guys, SIG Spear is 308. What are you talking about? $762/51. It's 308. Why are you guys thinking it's a different round? Did I miss something? 6851 or 277 Fury is what the 6 Spear caliber will be, but there will be multi-caliber variants in 308. Are you getting that from BSG, or are you getting that? Where are you getting that from? What's up, Orion? The Spear is 308, but the US Army version is 68. Interesting. Knowing or thinking about how these things work, as it is right now, unless BSG directly, which I can ask about next week, unless BSG say it directly, I would say it's probably be safer if you guys assume that the spear is going to be 308 because 308 is already a well-established round in the game. Just my take on it. I'm actually really concerned about the stats for the spear. It's very well could end up being busted. Also, it's chambered in 6.8 in the US config. Okay, interesting. I mean, they're not opposed to adding busted guns as we saw with the SVT and the AVT. They're not opposed to it. So we'll see what happens. Godzip, don't be weird. Don't be doing stuff like that. Yeah, bro. I've always played. Oh, you're talking to somebody else. I believe the military variant A in that will be 6851. I haven't heard too much about the full specs and affirms in 308. It also doesn't necessarily really matter what's going on IRL. It really only matters what BSG are doing with it. And the way I see it is because 308 is already such a well-established round in the game, I have a feeling that they'll do 308. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll do 6.8 and we get a new round. Maybe. But I'm willing to bet it's 308 right now just because it's already in the game. When is Arena happening? Well, technically it's happening a week from now because I'm going to get to play it a week from now. And anybody that goes to TwitchCon is going to be able to play it a week from now. However, the official statement is that it will release Q4 of this year. Absolute latest with the wipe in December. That's the most recent stuff. I hope so because 6.8 round has the velocity of 5.56 with the stopping power of 308. Yeah, I know 6.8. I just don't think that they'll add it. Actually, now that you mention it, there's a couple of the 6.8. Is the Masada 6.8? Is the Magpul Masada 6.8? I don't see it. Somebody already said yes, but I don't see it. Effective range, design 2006. Okay, where is the rifle caliber, though? Wikipedia! Where is the rifle caliber? Oh, there's a whole bunch here. Okay, so the Masada has a version that's 5.56, but that is not just the ACR. And then there's a 7.62x39, interesting. And then there's 6.8. And there's 300 blackout. So there's a couple different... Actually, they could do the whole line if they wanted to. Couldn't they? They are doing the whole AK line, so we might see the AK308 or the AK12 line. So we might see the AK308 or the AK15 or the AK... Wait, AK15 is the 7.62 one. What's the 5.56 one? Whatever the AK12 line of the 5.56 one is. Maybe we see something else happening with the ACR as well, with the Masada. Yeah, it's a show. They gotta spice it up a little bit, of course. But spoiler alert, a bunch of these shots do end up hitting eventually. The 5.56 is the AK-19. Okay, gotcha. Sig Spear is just such an unorthodox addition. There are so much guns, and they said they will add in the past, and then out of nowhere they come with the Sig Spear. So you got to think about like what's the year of the game, like what in the universe of Escape from Tarkov, what year is it, and how likely is it that we're going to see certain weapons? And then also BSG do randomly just add stuff because they want, you know. Case in point, the PPSH, shoot, what did they just do? They just did another one. And it was simply just because they wanted it. There's another one in there too. I'm blanking on it. There's just so much fucking information floating around in my brain about this fucking game. No, they didn't. Well, I know Nikita said, screw it. Yeah, we'll add the MP40 because everybody keeps asking for it. SVT, maybe, but it does kind of make sense because, you know, it's in Russia and it's it's got the Mosin round. It shoots the Mosin round. That at least makes a bit more sense. The thing with the rarity, though, if you're coming from like the rarity point of view, the AVT is the one that's super rare. SVT, I don't think is as much. Yeah, maybe it was the shotgun. I don't know. I'm blanking on it. There is a gun that's in the game right now that's a bit ridiculous. And the only reason they gave for wanting to add it was just because they wanted to. I'm blanking on what it is, though. But the PPSH is one of those. There's another one, though. SVT and AVT are pretty surplus. Is the AVT pretty surplus? The full auto version is pretty surplus, or the SVT? I can see the SVT, but not the AVT where it's full auto. Oh, maybe it's the RSH, the Rash 12. Maybe. Would be crazy to see more World War II guns. I think he said, screw it, we'll have the MP40. But there's also like some braces and stuff that they're going to add that basically turns pistols into like little carbines and stuff. Those are coming in. The break action rifle. Maybe. But then again, it's like that seems like it makes sense for a hunting rifle that's going to be around. I think that makes sense, personally. Russian laws on auto rifles are extremely strict. I can't imagine the AVT is very common. That's my take on it as well. Do you think things like inertia will be changed and tuned for Arena considering the standard for faster gameplay? I think that we are already seeing cases of that, at least on the medical side of things, because people are taking a lot of damage and they definitely stagger and they definitely move slowly, but I don't see them moving the way that we would see somebody move that is that damaged in the base game. So I do think it's possible that they're making adjustments like that so that it's a more competitive setup. Raffle thank you. Appreciate the kind words there. Thank you very much. There are a lot of guns on the Russian civilian market. I always wanted for BSG to add a full-size variant of the TOS bolt-action shotgun, the MTS 2112. The way they're seeing it right now is if there's a gun in the game that pretty much does that thing, then I don't think that they'll add another. I think that's their take on it. Drones would be crazy. Drones would be crazy, but that's a pretty big feature, and it doesn't involve anything that's already in the game right now. So you got to think of like what's stuff that overlaps that would be easy for them to add, and then even then they still might not add it. So we got to see what's going on with my Q&A, and we got to see the direction that they want to bring it at launch, ideally. Guys, I'm going to refresh my coffee real quick, and then I'll get to Alec's question there. One sec. All right. If you get time to ask about site placement mechanic, please do. I think cut from the OG Q&A list. Alec, just specify on that. Do you mean being able to put an optic or an attachment anywhere you want along a rail? Because if that's what you're asking about, they already said they're not going to do that. They said they run into too many problems, and they said they're not going to do that, which is unfortunate. That really sucks. That sucks to hear. I can see why they think that that's low priority. I can see why they don't want to mess with it. But honestly, that does suck. Yeah, that really sucks. I believe the reasoning is because of zeroing of optics. The way that they are zeroing optics in the game right now, they couldn't get it to function correctly, and it was going to be too much of a project to get it to work correctly. I'm going to restart the playlist there. Love to see the PTRD 41. The fuck is that? Yo, bullshit. They're not adding this. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? I mean, yeah, it'd be insane. I think they said, didn't they say yes to the Barrett? They said yes to, excuse me. They said yes to 50 cal, but goddamn. James, what's up? That is insane. I very much doubt they're adding that, but hey, maybe they end up doing the SPG, and then you can kind of get the same vibe if they add the SPG. I am live, James. Yeah, so here's the other thing too, guys. We're going to be wrapping up in about 15-20 minutes. I try to keep these to about an hour, but I'm going to be doing them every single day until I leave for Vegas. And then I want to see what it does to the channel, where I have a couple of videos that are going to be popping up this weekend and also next week. Because what it used to do, and for any of you guys that have been around for a long time, will know that I used to do this. However, it became noticeable that YouTube did not like live streams that were VODs, because they thought they treated the VODs the same way as a normal video. And obviously the click-through rate, or not the click-through rate, but, well, click-through rate, of course, because it's not like specifically what I usually do, where it's just the short form stuff. But also, the retention is much less percentage-wise, because people will pop in. Maybe you're not talking about something that they want to talk about, or maybe they were only in the car for a few minutes, and then they click off. And YouTube was treating that like a normal video, and they said, oh, this guy's YouTube videos suck, so we're not going to promote that as much, and the YouTube robot didn't like it. So we'll see how much the YouTube robot likes these now, since there's so many more people that are pushing for live stream stuff on YouTube now, with Lupo and Dr. Disrespect and Tim the Tatman and all those guys that's doing the main YouTube thing. But this is basically a test. So we'll see what this does to the channel, and then maybe we keep it up, maybe we move it to Twitch, maybe we move it to the second channel, whatever. But it's just going to be testing for now, temporary test until I move. Definitely not moving until I leave for Vegas next week. Actually, I can't read your name because I don't read Russian. But somebody just mentioned to fight the BMP maybe, and also it's a BTR or BPM. I'm assuming you meant BMP with the BPM there, but also it is a BTR. It's not a BMP. There's concept art with BMPs, UN BMPs that are around, and obviously we see BMPs around. So there's potential for them to, maybe they add those. But if you're talking about the BTR taxi, which I am assuming you are, on streets, you make a very good point. So I think the 50 cal will be able to handle that. Maybe it makes more sense to have this what was it? The PTRD? If you guys are asking questions, do the @NiceGuyTarkov. You see it on the screen right now. You see how it's big orange? There's a lot of people that are like having little side conversations. It's much easier for me. Oh, you can actually see when I'm scrolling. The PTR. I forgot that this is the same window that you guys are seeing. Yeah, PTRD 41. Do the @NiceGuyTarkov so it makes it easier for me to see what's a question to me and what's just you guys chatting. Makes it much easier to figure this stuff out. What were we talking about before that? Right, the BTR taxi. So I think it could make sense for that to be there. It could, but we'll see if they actually end up adding the like SPG9. If they end up doing what they said that they were going to do initially, which is in order to disable or eliminate the BTR, you can ambush it with packs of C4 or explosives or mines. I still think mines are going to make their way into the game some way, shape, or form. So I think that's a possibility. We'll see what they end up doing. So the BTR-82A, mister, is in the game, but so are T-80s, so are BMP 2s and stuff like that. What the situation with the BTR is that BSG don't know if they are going to use the model that is using a cannon or the model that is using a cannon that doesn't have any ammunition, or using a model that has just like the what's the little tight cupola there with just the machine gun or just the PKM or whatever it is for the vehicle mounted PKM is. You know what I mean? They don't know what version they're going to use yet, or if it's going to be like an open top with a PKM version. They don't know which one they're going to use yet. Is the thing. I've been doing good, man. I've been around in Discord, but I wanted to ask you, do you play EFT much anymore? I still catch up from you guys and watch EFT streams, but I don't. Cut you off there. It says, Baby Cow, make sure you finish that, and I'll get to that in a minute. I play, I would say weekly I play. I jump in because I get an itch, you know, when it comes to like survival shooters, of which I enjoy a lot. I'm like what I assume is many of you guys, which Escape from Tarkov has broken that genre for me. There's little things with if I want to play Arma, where it's a very specific curated Arma thing. I do play in Arma groups that are run by other YouTubers. Most of the time, I try to be incognito. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I'll get an itch where I want to do like a big group Arma thing. And then also there's Star Citizen. So right now, because of TwitchCon coming up, because of where Star Citizen is, I have a Star Citizen org. I believe Star Citizen is going to be the next big thing when it comes to... How should I word this? I want to say gaming, but it might not end up being just gaming in general. I believe wholeheartedly in the vision that Star Citizen is doing, and I do believe that they're going to end up getting there. You know, call me clown, call me, huffing copium, whatever you want to say. But we've got over 200 people in our Star Citizen org, and I've also got the Star Citizen channel that I run exactly like I run with the Tarkov channel. It's just Star Citizen. So where TwitchCon's next week, but also CitizenCon is next week, I've been trying to get things rolling and get things moving to the point where inside my Star Citizen org, it's not just me that's running it. We have an amazing group of probably about 20 guys right now that are in... they're in approximate positions to be like leadership roles within the org. And it's not like a Milsim thing or anything. It's just if I'm not there, somebody else can take over. So over the past, I would say 2 months, we've been doing that pretty much every weekend. So it's a lot of focus on Star Citizen at the moment because we want to make sure the org is in a good place. Because if something big ends up happening, which we think it might end up happening with Star Citizen, we want to be in a position to take advantage of that. Because it could be like a Dropocalypse level event, like what we saw with Escape from Tarkov, like in 2020 when Shroud and Summit really started playing consistently, and then we had the drops happen, so then everybody started playing consistently, stuff like that. And then it was also a patch and a wipe, so as we know can happen with Escape from Tarkov. I think we're on the horizon of something like that happening with Star Citizen, so we're trying to be prepared for it with the org, so that's why I've been playing that more. However, what I do is have streamers on my screen constantly, DMs constantly flowing in. I'm constantly looking at the Discord, talking to people, getting DMs from creators, getting DMs from BSG devs, talking to BSG devs. I'm inside the community and I constantly know what's going on without having to play it. And then also on top of that, I get burnt out. As much as I love Escape from Tarkov, as much as I love Destiny 2, as much as I love World of Warcraft, those are all games that I can sink dozens of hours into a week with no issue. But then the next week, I'm feeling it a bit less. I will get burnt out, so I have to be careful. And Escape from Tarkov is absolutely a game I don't want to get burnt out before the release of the game, before it's actually finished. So I play all the time. Don't play as much as a lot of people, but I watch and I'm part of the community constantly, 24/7. Hopefully that makes sense. Nikita mentioned the RUAF being a faction on Shoreline. Yes, Russian, Russian AF, Armed Forces, Russian Armed Forces. Anytime you see RUAF, that's Russian Armed Forces. That's their, when you go to, you know what, we can actually do this. Spoiler alert. Now we'll cut up a little bit, just a little bit ahead. Where are we? Damn, what part did he, When did he go to the checkpoint? This is it. All right. You guys might recognize the vibe here with the cranes and the towers and the big wall. You might recognize the vibe here. This is why I'm saying that, well, it's not entirely why, but this is why I'm thinking that the new map that they're working on is Terminal, and the map expansion is going to be Shoreline. I think they're going to add this in, because I think this works too well into where the game's at the moment. So this is owned by Russian Armed Forces, this whole setup here. Assuming it'll show it at some point. If not, I can skip to the end. There you go. That is Russian Armed Forces. Those guys, I'm pointing to the screen as if you can see my fucking fingers right now. Obviously you can't. That's Russian Armed Forces. That's Russian Armed Forces. This is Russian Armed Forces. This is what we're talking about right now. And this is going to be a thing. It's also going to be a thing for the UN. So anytime you see UN What's the UN one? Is it just UN checkpoint? I'm blanking on those names. I forget if it does it say UN something something, or does it just say UN checkpoint, UN whatever. I'm blanking on the UN check, the UN extracts and stuff like that right now. UN gate or whatever it is. Same thing, but picture these guys wearing blue. That's pretty much it. CCP, UN roadblock. Yeah. That stuff. So same exact thing, but these guys are wearing the blueberry helmets and the blueberry vests. So anywhere that's RUAF, these guys are going to be there. Anywhere that's UN guys are going to be there. That's the setup. I've fallen through the map, and you can see terminal is fully fleshed out with walkable areas. It's been like that for a few years already. I want to say when they did the shoreline expansion, they added that in. But it just you can't reverse it normally. We are going to see the Black Division. BSG haven't confirmed it directly, but Nikita, go look at my video that I did on Nikita's open Q&A from Gamescom. Nikita accidentally confirmed it. He accidentally, indirectly confirmed it by just him talking. I forget the exact verbiage that he used, but it was something along the lines of, like, he said when, or like the way he talked about them inadvertently confirmed that they are coming to the game. You're gonna have to go watch that video to get the specifics, because I mentioned in that video though. But they are coming. UNIF and UNTAR, yeah, correct. So UNTAR is the thing. UNPC. Yeah, Black Division is always meant to be a thing. They just wanted to do a better job keeping it secret than the cultists. So if you guys have been following for a long time, then you'll know how I handled the cultists. Like, we knew that they were coming. They were supposed to be a surprise, and they were still a pretty good surprise because they didn't say that they were coming. But and I think it did kick off well, because we still got that factor of, like, we were live, we were playing the patch, somebody jumped in chat, there's a cultist, I got killed by this crazy guy that popped out of nowhere, and then we rushed over to woods, went and found them ourselves, and then just like, oh shit, they're here. Like, it was still really cool. They wanted to try and do, but however, every single patch since they said the cultists were going to be a thing, we're like, everybody go look for the cultists, everybody go see if the cultists are around, and then we'd have to go and look for the spawns. They were trying to do it even more so, and there will still be a little bit of that with the Black Division, because we don't necessarily know what makes them show up or where they're going to be, or you know what I mean? So there's still going to be that. They just wanted to add the extra factor of maybe we're not adding them. They're adding them, though. They're coming. Who knows when or how, though. Caster, same kind of answer there. Hopefully that answered your question, too, as well with that. Was the Black Division the ones who totally wrecked the checkpoint? Yep. And since we're coming up to the end here, guys, I'll skip to that, too. Spoiler alert. They're on the end of the raid series. If you guys haven't watched the raid series, I don't even know why you're following me. I really hope everybody's seen the raid series, or at least what I'm about to skip to. These are the Black Division. That's Black Division. That's Black Division absolutely annihilating the Russian armed forces that were holding that checkpoint. And there's our protagonists trying to get away from them. Yeah, that's Black Division. So they're basically just badass special forces guys. I don't think they're associated with any company or anything like that. There's a lot of lore that can go into it. Hired by Terror Group, maybe not hired by Terror Group, but PMC all the same, stuff like that. Some crazy Secret Scroll stuff. And they're dressed to the nines. They're kitted to the nines. How do you think of the cultists run Terror Group theory? Cultists run Terror Group theory? If we had more time, I'd get it. Ask me tomorrow. I'm trying to keep this to about an hour every day, so we can wrap up. If there's another couple quick questions, if there's something that you can't absolutely wait until tomorrow, make sure you pop it up in chat. The cultists were really crazy. It was cool. It was a cool way to set it up. So what you're saying is there are more AI to kill me. There is multiple more AI to kill you. Black Division will absolutely annihilate you. If you fuck with the Russian armed forces, checkpoints, they'll fuck you up. If you fuck with the UN, maybe they'll fuck you up. They don't look as dangerous as some of the Russian checkpoints that we've seen, obviously. But we haven't really seen those in game yet. We've seen a bit of the Russian Armed Forces checkpoints, so we'll see what happens with them. The UN and Russian Armed Forces are going to have patrols, or at least that's what it was first. The way they were first explained was they would have patrols around the areas that they control. Might get fucked up by those guys. There's a lot that can happen. And a lot more NPC factions coming, for sure. And some more bosses. What do you think about Lend-Lease guns? The Tommy gun or Garand? I don't know about the Garand. I think he said he's going to add the MP40 and the Tommy gun. We'll see. I want the PPS 43. Here's the thing, guys, with the guns. If there's a gun that is in the game already that kind of does the thing, should they really put the development time into it, or should they put the development time into a gun that will actually work better? Because let's be honest, the PPSH is a meme gun. A lot of the guns that are kind of interesting is a meme gun. SVT absolutely wasn't, but the PPSH is like a meme gun. The base 45, even the kitted 45 that you can put like lights on it easier and stuff like that, and the mounts and stuff, is people don't necessarily use that. So would you rather they put the time into a gun that people will actually use, or more meme guns, and then they can just add meme guns DLC? They can add that later if they want. You know what I mean? I understand any single weapon in the game can kill if you put yourself in the right position. It obviously is a gun that shoots bullets, so it's going to be effective in some way, shape, or form in Escape from Tarkov, in a game like Escape from Tarkov. But you don't see everybody like you can't say, unless you're just, you might just be really different. If you are this person, then you're really different. All power to you. But if you go and you look at, if you're scrolling through Papper and you're seeing the PPSH and you decide to choose the PPSH, you're doing some weird shit. You're like, hey, I'm going to be a little cocky with it. I'm gonna switch things up. Like, that's your mindset. You know what I mean? You're not going in to do a raid with the PPSH. You're like, you know what? I want to have some little fun. I'm gonna try and spice things up a little bit. That is your mindset when you pick the PPSH. It's not with practically any other gun. Any, like, real gun. Any other gun, you're like, oh, I want to test this grip. I want to test this attachment. I want to see how this runs. Maybe they just patched it. I think they just patched it. I picked this up on my scav and I thought it was pretty good. I'm going to check this out. No. You're like, you're a whole different mindset when you're using the PPSH. Anyway, guys, we're going to be back tomorrow. Like I said, I'm going to try and keep these to about an hour. I'll be back tomorrow. If there's something that you absolutely need an answer to, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Discord. Actually, if it's in the DM sense of things, Twitter treats replies a little weird. So I would much rather that you ask me on Discord. Jump in the chat on Discord too. We have thousands of people on there that are active all the time. So they might even be able to answer your question before I do. So if you're looking to get in touch with me, I would definitely say do Discord. Otherwise, I'm going to be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. And we're going to do this up until I leave for Vegas. Otherwise, guys, again, join the Discord. And I saw a couple people talk about Star Citizen. I've got the Star Citizen channel. The Star Citizen stuff's on the Discord as well. We got a lot of stuff going on with that. In fact, I'm going to be playing it a little bit later today. I'm probably going to go live on Twitch doing that stuff. And follow Twitter. You got that. You got everything. Back tomorrow. Hope you guys have a good day. And, oh, no, what am I doing? Hope you guys have a nice day. See you guys.